This is our second lecture. If you have any problem regarding the previous lecture, you can ask me right now, please. Waiting for your queries.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, please.
Sir, there was a portion in which you were explaining the type of poetry,
Yeah,
and can
type.
you please?
Yeah, types of poetry. I was talking about types of poetry, so let me show that to you
And
first.
answer one more question.
Yes,
Can you please define the plots and character different? What is character in poetry and what is the plot in poetry?
these things are, my dear, in normally dramas, plot and character and all such things. Are you getting me? So in poetry,
Yes.
we have different types of poetry जो मैं आपको ये बता देता हूँ. ठीक है, और उसमें rhythm और different types of stylistic devices. But you're talking about character and plot and also I think these things we have in novels and dramas, just like Aristotle defined different things about tragedy.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so let me tell you about there are two types of poetry: subjective and objective. So first, there is personal or subjective poetry. Subjective poetry is also called personal poetry. It is the poetry of self-expression. The poetry of self-expression. In this kind of poetry, poet goes down into himself and finds his inspiration and his subject in his own experiences, thoughts and feelings, just like Wordsworth did, just like romantic poets did. They didn't talk about the facts. They didn't talk about the world. They just talk about their feelings, emotions, personal views. When you read romantic poetry, you will not find that they are talking about their age, and that is why they have been severely criticized. They have been criticized by T.S. Eliot. T.S. Eliot said that a writer is not a writer if he does not write about his age. So T.S. Eliot and even some Victorian poets also criticize romantic poetry because of this, that they didn't talk about their age. They just talk about nature, beauty, and such things. So that is called subjective poetry. So to this personal or subjective poetry, the word lyrical is generally applied. Personal or subjective or lyrical poetry, and then you will find further division of this kind of poetry, and then you will find the elegy, the ode, the sonnet. ये सब इसमें शामिल हो जाएंगे. Elegy is a kind of poetry which is written on the death of someone. Ode, just like Ode to Nightingales, Ode to Autumns, John Keats odes are very famous. Sonnet हो गई. So these are the kinds of uh, subjective poetry or personal poetry. Then you will find second type of poetry, that is called impersonal or objective poetry. So impersonal, here impersonal or objective poetry is that poetry in which the poet goes out of himself and finds his inspiration and his subjects in the actions and patience of the world. It does not talk about his personal feelings and emotions. In this kind of poetry, the poet deals with the outside world with little reference to his own personal thoughts and emotions. For example, Victorian poetry will find objective poetry. Even you will find new classical poetry objective. Renaissance poetry will find subjective and objective both. This impersonal or objective poetry may be either narrative or dramatic. Just like Chaucer, you will find here Chaucer's poetry, objective poetry. It's a narrative poetry. Prologue to Canterbury Tales is a very good example of the Canterbury Tale is a very good example of narrative poetry. Narrative poetry is further divided into the ballad, the short story in verse, the epic or long story in verse, the metrical romance, the idyll or the idealized treatment. Dramatic poetry का से मुराद ये नहीं कि the actual drama, it means to be acted on the stage, but poetry which though not intended for the stage is essentially dramatic in principle, लेकिन वो principle के लिहाज से dramatic होती है. The dramatic monologue का नाम आपने पता नहीं सुना होगा नहीं सुना होगा. Dramatic monologue is the most important kind of dramatic poetry. जैसे ब्राउनिंग के ड्रामेटिक मोनोलॉग्स और ब्राउनिंग की पोइट्री आप देखेंगे, रॉबर्ट ब्राउनिंग, विक्टोरियन राइटर. So in England, Robert Browning is its most important practitioner. तो इसके अलावा और भी आपको मिलेंगे, लेकिन ये दो चीफ डिविजन्स है ऑफ पोएट्री विच यू शुड कीप इन योर माइंड, सब्जेक्टिव पोएट्री एंड ऑब्जेक्टिव पोएट्री. इज दिस क्लियर? तो इसको आप किसी के बुक्स में भी देखेंगे तो इंशाल्लाह इट विल बी इजी फॉर यू टू अंडरस्टैंड नाउ. Any question regarding this?
No, sir.
So there are
Continue.
two types. Yeah, there are two types of poetry: subjective or objective. All romantic poetry is subjective poetry. Okay. The next one is the Chaucer, brief life sketch of Chaucer. So let's talk about now Chaucer's life briefly. Chaucer definitely was born in London, most likely in the early 1340s, though the precise date and location remain unknown. इसके बारे में इतना पता नहीं है कि वो कहाँ पैदा हुआ और लोकेशन क्या थी, but it is many critics are of the same opinion that he was born in 1340 and he died in 1400 when he was 60 years old. Chaucer was an English poet and author. He is widely considered to be the greatest English poet of the Middle Ages. It was the time of Middle Ages. I don't know whether you have studied history of English language or not. If you have studied history of English language, you will find there are different ages of English language. First, you will find Anglo-Saxon, then you will find Anglo-Norman. These both are called the ages of Old English. And then you will find Middle English period. So Chaucer is considered to be in the Middle English period. अब माइक को काइंडली म्यूट कर दीजिएगा आप अपने. सायरा खान प्लीज म्यूट योर माइक. जिनका माइक जो है अनम्यूट है उसको म्यूट कर दें काइंडली, सो दैट वी कैन नॉट गेट डिस्टर्ब. So he is widely considered to be the greatest English poet of the Middle Ages. If we talk about his life, so we can find that he is best known for the Canterbury Tales. Canterbury Tales is a narrative poem. Chaucer is also called the father of English poetry. The father of English poetry. He was the first writer to be buried in what has since come to be called Poets' Corner in Westminster Abbey. ये पहला शायर था जिसको Westminster Abbey में, जिसको ये लोग Poets' Corner भी कहते हैं. He was the first poet to be buried over there. Geoffrey Chaucer is seen as crucial in legitimizing the literary use of Middle English when the dominant literary language in England was still French. Remember, he legitimized the literary use of Middle English. इसने Middle English को उस वक्त legitimize किया, उस वक्त legalize किया और उसका इस्तेमाल किया जब इंग्लैंड में जो dominant literary language थी वो French ही थी. That time French was still dominant literary language, but credit goes to Chaucer that he legitimized the literary use of Middle English. उसने Middle English का इस्तेमाल अपने शायरी में किया. About his life, remember, it is said that at the age of 17, Chaucer was taken into service as a page in the household of the Duke of Clarence, where he probably met John of Gaunt, the patron, through whom he won the favor of Lancastrians. चौसर के बारे में एक चीज आपको बता दूं, देयर आर मेनी पोएट्स इन इन हिस्ट्री ऑफ इंग्लिश लिटरेचर वेयर who were not well to do, but about Chaucer it is said that he did not face the problem of poverty. He had great links. और कुछ critics का तो ये भी कहना है कि he was himself wealthy. By 1359, in 1359, the early stages of 100 Years' War. Can anyone, does anyone have any knowledge of the 100 Years' War? किसी को द 100 Years' War के बारे में कुछ पता है? कभी इसका जिक्र सुना है? द 100 Years' War. या द 100 Years' War.
नो सर.
कभी नहीं सुना? चलिए कोई बात नहीं, अब आपने सुन लिया ना, अब आप इसको थोड़ा स्टडी कर लीजिएगा. लिटरेरी टर्म्स.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Was it a series of conflict? I'm not sure, but maybe.
Yeah, don't actually, you have to read it. What the 100 Years' War. It has a great impact on the development of English language as well. So the early stages of the 100 Years' War, there a tension between England and France, and like this. But what is the background knowledge of this 100 Years' War? You must read. Remember that it was a time when England was not united, and they were under the influence of France, right? And France, the England king, they were also French, and they had their origin from France. So after this war and after certain other events, the spirit of nationalism came to them. So in 1359, remember it is Middle English period. ये जो आपके पास period है, ये Middle English period कहलाता है. And from I think 15th to 16th century, 16th century, we have modern English period. That is called Renaissance. उससे पहले हमारे पास Middle English period होता है, और 1200 से पहले 1200 तक जो है वो Old English period होता है. तो from 5th century to 12th century we have Old English period, and from 1200 to 1500 we have Middle English period, and from 15 onwards till today we have Modern English period. So in 1359, the early stages of the 100 Years' War, Edward III invaded France, and Chaucer traveled with Lionel of Antwerp. So it means he visited first Duke of Clarence, वो वहाँ का नवाब था, and he traveled with him. Elizabeth's husband as part of the English army, and he was that time in the English army. Then you will find in 1360 he was captured during the siege of Reims. So there was what happened that he saw military service in France. He was taken prisoner near Reims, and he was released on the payment of a ransom. And he was released, और उसको बाद में release कर दिया गया when ransom amount was paid 16 pounds. जो आजकल जो है 16 पाउंड्स कितने होंगे आजकल की करेंसी में? 11,610 पाउंड्स. यानी कि अगर यस
सर यहाँ पे लिखा हुआ है ना, in 1360 he was captured during the siege of Reims. तो इसी को थोड़ा एक्सप्लेन करेंगे?
Yeah, actually that time actually a kind of tension was going on. जिस तरह आज हमारे यहाँ पाकिस्तान और इंडिया में टेंशन चल रही होती है, बाज़ का छोटी मोटी जो है बैटल भी हो जाती है. So it is said that he saw military services in France. He was there in France in the service, military service, and over there he was taken prisoner. उसको कैदी बना लिया गया, and later on he was released on the payment. और फिर बाद में ये जो अमाउंट है इसको दिया गया, तब जाकर वो रिलीज हुआ. तो उस दौरान जो है he was captured और he was arrested. जिस तरह नॉर्मली हो जाते हैं यहाँ का वहाँ के यहाँ चले जाते हैं, या किसी वजह से बॉर्डर क्रॉस कर जाते हैं, या इस तरह के मामला होते हैं, तो उसमें जो है अरेस्ट कर लिए जाते हैं। तो बास कंट्रीज जो हैं वो कुछ लेके देती हैं और बास कंट्रीज एक्सचेंज कर लेते हैं अपने कैदियों के साथ। सो ही वाज आल्सो अरेस्टेड और कैप्चर्ड एंड देन लेटर ऑन ही वाज रिलीज आफ्टर दिस ransom amount.
Thank you.
Okay, then we'll find about this then you will find about this time Chaucer, you know, around 366 Chaucer married this woman Philippa Roet, and remember she was a sister of John of Gaunt's third wife, जिनके यहाँ मुलाजमत करता था। And she was a valuable connection. He was a valuable connection which brought him the patronage of that great and powerful man. और इस वजह से क्या हुआ, वो पैट्रोनेज में आ गया। पैट्रोनेज मतलब जो उनको फाइनेंशियली सपोर्ट करता था। चौसर कंटिन्यू टू एंजॉय द रॉयल फेवर। फिर इस तरह से चौसर को जो है रॉयल फेवर, शाही खानदान का फेवर मिलने लगा। एंड ही रिसीव्ड अ सीरीज ऑफ कमर्शियल एंड डिप्लोमेटिक अपॉइंटमेंट्स, और कई जगहों पर वो घूमने भी गया और उसको कई जगहों पे यू नो ही वाज गिवन अपॉर्चुनिटीज। Remember, it is at this time no serious gap existed between commercial and diplomatic missions. तो उस वक्त ये वो वक्त था जब कमर्शियल और डिप्लोमेटिक मिशन जो होते थे वो इतने ज़्यादा डिफरेंट नहीं होते थे। And such missions were of great importance in the development of Chaucer's mind and writing. His earlier travels brought him Chaucer's earlier travels, and it is also said that it is uncertain how many children Chaucer and Philippa had, but 3 or 4 are most commonly cited. 3 से 4 जो हैं वो अक्सर उनके बारे में कहा जाता है, लेकिन कंफर्म डिटेल्स इसके बारे में अभी तक नहीं मिली। ये वही है जो मतलब ये कि थ्रू रिटन स्क्रिप्ट्स वी हैव द नॉलेज। Then you will find Chaucer traveled to different countries, like, and his early travels brought him into contact with French authors. And at about the age of 29, when he was 29, he was in Italy, where he made his first acquaintance with Italian literature. And it was the time when Italian literature had a great influence upon them, and Italy was the hub of learning, as we have nowadays London, and we have nowadays America, and these are the countries where we go for further studies. So that time Italy was the center of learning for them. From Italy they had also religious association. He visited Genoa and Florence, and it is said that he might have met Petrarch and Boccaccio. These were the two greatest living Italian poets, and they were the men of letters that in those days. They were great figures. These two poets, together with Dante, were crucially influential in the growth of Chaucer's work. और चौसर के काम में आपको इन तीनों poets का जबरदस्त जो है किस्म का influence नजर आएगा. And these three were great French poets. Italian poet, one is Italian poet. The two greatest living Italian men of letters, and definitely the third one is also Dante. नाम भी आपने सुना होगा इनका. In 1374, Chaucer was appointed controller of the customs in the port of London, and was granted rent-free the use of a house above the gate of Edgate. And during this period, he received further marks of the royal favor. मजीद उसको support मिली royal favor के, and he became increasingly prosperous, और मजीद वो पैसे वाला हो गया. In 1377, Edward III was succeeded by Richard II, then a minor, and Chaucer seems to have incurred the displeasure of the regent Gloucester. फिर किंग चेंज हुआ तो चौसर थोड़ा सा परेशान हुआ कि कहीं ऐसा ना हो कि जो सहूलतें इसको दी जा रही हैं वो वापस ले ली जाएं. So in 1385, Chaucer became a justice of the peace. 1385, he became a justice of the peace in the country of Kent, where he went to live after losing his house in London. In 1386, he sat in Parliament as Knight of the Shire for Kent, and in 1389 he became Clerk of the King's Works. फिर उसके बाद वो King's Work का जो है King's Work एक पोस्ट होती है जिसमें वो क्लर्क बना. और किंग्स वर्क जो होता था ये एक पोस्ट होती थी विच carried the responsibility for the maintenance of important buildings as the Tower of London. So he became over there as a clerk. He became a clerk. For this work, he had to travel many times to different places. Chaucer was robbed more than once on one occasion with violence. His retirement from this post in 1390 gave him more time for poetry. और उसके बाद उसने इस जो है जॉब से रिटायरमेंट दी. When he took retirement from this post, so definitely he got more time for writing poetry. So these were different posts which he held in his lifetime. Now it is said that last years of Chaucer's life, it is said that there is not much information about the last 10 years of his life. As I told you, different when you study different books, you read different books, you will find slightly different information. तो जो इसमें कॉमन है वो ये कहते हैं कि not much is known about the last 10 years of Chaucer's life. It is certain that King Richard continued to treat him favorable. कुछ का कहना है कि King Richard जो था उसने वो इसको उसी तरह से ट्रीट करता था जिस तरह से पहले करता रहा. On the accession of Henry the Fourth in 1399 में जब हेनरी द फोर्थ जो था वो बरसरे इक़्तिदार आया था, चौसर suffered from some anxiety. So कहा जाता है कि चौसर जो था कुछ परेशान हुआ. चौसर जो है कुछ परेशान हुआ कि कहीं उससे रॉयल फेवर छिन ना जाए, जो रॉयल सपोर्ट और फेवर जो थी वो इससे छिन ना जाए. However, the new king confirmed various royal grants, लेकिन न्यू किंग ने भी आगे तंग नहीं किया उसको, और जो उसको मिल रहा था ग्रांट्स वो उसको मिलता रहा. And after 1 year, he died. According to some biographers, Chaucer at this time fell into difficulties and debt. कुछ biographers का कहना ये भी है कि Chaucer fell into difficulties and debt. वो बहुत पकरूज हो गया था और मसाइल में गिर गया था बहुत ज़्यादा. और his last years were spent in poverty. और वो आखिर के जो उसके साल थे वो जो है गुर्बत में उसने गुजारे. कुछ बायोग्राफर्स का ये भी कहना है. So many facts of Chaucer's life are still unknown. Remember, Chaucer died on October 25, 1400 and was buried in Westminster Abbey. And there are many facts about Chaucer's life which are still unknown. For example, what was his education? We don't know about this. When exactly was he married? We don't know about it. And did he have a second wife? Because his first wife died in 1387. तो 1387 में उसकी जो वाइफ थी वो उनका इंतकाल हो गया था. तो क्या उन्होंने सेकंड मैरिज की थी? नो वन नोज. इसके अलावा ये भी कंफर्म नहीं है कि हु वर हिज चिल्ड्रन. So the answer to these questions are still shrouded in obscurity, unclear. Nor is it known from any evidence outside his own writing what were his interests and personal habits. इसका भी नहीं पता कि उसके इंटरेस्ट क्या थे, पर्सनल हैबिट्स क्या थे. And it seems reasonable to assume that he was partially educated in one of the ends of court. यानी कि कुछ हद तक वो educated ही था. Since that would be the likely education of man of his position. क्योंकि उसने बहुत सी positions को hold किया हुआ था in his lifetime. So this assumption is based on a story that he was fined 2 shillings as a Templar for beating a Franciscan friar in Fleet Street. कुछ वाक़यात भी उसकी ज़िंदगी से जुड़े हुए हैं. The public records of Chaucer's career make no mention whatever of his work as a poet. So he must have enjoyed the friendship of the principal writers of his time. The poet John Gower was almost certainly a friend of his. John Gower उनके दोस्त थे. So a very famous literary figure of that time. In the course of a full and varied life, Chaucer came into intimate contact with all sorts of men. Chaucer तकरीबन हर किस्म के शख्स जो है से उनका contact रहा अपनी जिंदगी में. And in youth, when he would most have he would have enjoyed it, he knew the splendor and pageantry of the royal household. As you have seen that he had the favor of royal household. Enriched and enlivened by French noblemen, he met French noblemen, Italian great poets. He knew war का उसको पता था क्या होता है, and pitiless and brutal in his day. And remember, he also experienced the tension the 100 Years War. He also spent some time in the observing or in the army. So it is said that Chaucer lived in an age when ideas were stirring and events to match them were already on the march. Things were very much changing. And it was the ending period of middle age. Or not, and you can say not ending, he was in the middle or in the ending middle period of middle age. If you talk about Chaucer's works, so you can find major works like the Book of the Duchess, the House of Fame, the Legend of Good Women, Troilus and Cresside, and definitely we have the Canterbury Tales. So this is what we have brief introduction of Chaucer's life. Chaucer's literary career is something that can be divided into three periods: French period, Italian period, and English period. I've just told you that Chaucer was considerably influenced by French masters. He had a great influence of French writers. And Italian period, in 1372, Chaucer had been to Italy and came in personal contact with Dante, Petrarch, and Boccaccio. So of these great Italian masters, Dante exercised the least influence on Chaucer. So he had a great impact of these. Petrarch had little influence on him. Boccaccio alone exercised a deep influence. Boccaccio जो था उसका बड़ा जबरदस्त impact और effect जो था Chaucer पर था. So you will find Italian period. The chief work of the second or Italian period is Troilus and Cresside, a poem of 8,000 lines. 8,000 lines की ये poem है Troilus and Cresside जो आपके पास last में. So it is the work of second period. The English period, to the English period extending from 1384 to 1390, यानी कि 1384 से लेकर 1390 तक जो period है, that is called English period. It belongs to Chaucer's masterpiece and monumental work like the Canterbury Tales, जिसमें Canterbury Tales सबसे top of the list पर है. For the general idea and plan of the tales, Chaucer was very much indebted to Boccaccio. और इसके general idea और plan पर Chaucer जो है Boccaccio का बड़ा indebted है. He is very thankful to Boccaccio. Execution and management of the tale is completely English. जिसको execute किया गया और इसको manage किया गया वो बिल्कुल English था. 29 pilgrims including Chaucer. इस the Canterbury Tales में होता है क्या है कि 29 pilgrims including Chaucer himself meet at the Tabard Inn. ये एक इन एक सराय जहाँ पे लोग स्टे करते हैं, वहां पर ये लोग मिलते हैं. Tabard Inn in Southwark, with the object of setting out for the pilgrimage, and their purpose is to do what, to set out for a pilgrimage to Canterbury, कि वो Canterbury के holy सफर पर रवाना हो जाएं. The 29 pilgrims are chosen from all classes of life, of both sexes and of all ranks. यानी ये जो 29 pilgrims होते हैं, जो 29 pilgrims होते हैं, they are chosen from all classes of life. यानी तमाम क्लासेस को रिप्रेजेंट करते हैं, मर्द औरत दोनों को रिप्रेजेंट करते हैं, एंड ऑल रैंक्स, और तमाम जो रैंक्स है उनको भी रिप्रेजेंट करते हैं. दे आर डिपिक्टेड इन द प्रोलॉग टू द मेन वर्क, और ये आपके पास प्रोलॉग में है जिसको इंशाल्लाह हम पढ़ेंगे. दे आर डिपिक्टेड इन द प्रोलॉग टू द मेन वर्क एंड प्रोवाइड एन इंटरेस्टिंग, अलाइव एंड कंप्लीटली डाइवर्सिफाइड कंपनी. तो इससे आपको पता चलेगा कि what the characteristics of that particular age as well. At the suggestion of the host of the inn, वो जो सराय का जो host था, जो मेज़बान था, उसकी मशवरे पर each pilgrim was required to narrate 2 tales. हर pilgrim को 2 tales कहानियाँ सुनानी थी on the onward journey, and 2 tales on the return. यानी कि 2 कहानियाँ जो थी, वो tales जो थी जाते हुए सुनानी थी और 2 tales वापस आते हुए सुनानी थी. और इनका मकसद क्या था? टू रिलीव द टेडियम ऑफ द जर्नी, ताकि जो जर्नी का जो थकावट है उससे उनको रिलीफ मिले, एंड टू प्रोवाइड मैरिमेंट एंजॉयमेंट टू द पिलग्रिम्स, और पिलग्रिम्स भी इंजॉय करते रहें. इट वॉज देयर मेन एम टू टेल दीज टेल्स. उन्होंने ये भी सोचा कि ये कहा जाता है कि अगर ये प्लान सक्सीड हो जाता, अगर ये इनका मंसूबा सक्सीड हो जाता, कामयाब हो जाता, सो डेफिनेटली वी कुड हैव वन 100 टेल्स. हमारे पास 100 से ज़्यादा या 100 के करीब टेल्स होती. बट चौसर कुड फिनिश ओनली 20. लेकिन चौसर जो फिनिश कर सका वो सिर्फ 20 टेल्स ही फिनिश कर सका. यानी कि अगर ये प्लान जो उन्होंने बनाया था, अगर ये कामयाब हो जाता तो हमारे पास 100 कहानियाँ होती कम अज़ कम. लेकिन बट चौसर कुड फिनिश ओनली 20. लेकिन चौसर सिर्फ 20 को ही फिनिश कर सका. तो द सेपरेट टेल्स हैव देयर ओन प्रोलॉग्स एंड narrated with raciness and humor, और इसमें आपको humor भी मिलेगा, और they have their own prologues. So in the Canterbury Tales, Chaucer takes the study of contemporary English society. When you read these Canterbury Tales, you will find that he is talking about contemporary society. अपनी society की बात कर रहा है, English society की बात कर रहा है. He turns poetry with tolerant curiosity and genial humor, and he also made poetry very interesting in this regard to the study of men and manners of his time. So this is what we have about Chaucer's brief life and about his work briefly. Any question? Remember Chaucer, about Chaucer, it is said that he
Sir,
was
who was a Philip?
Who was a?
Philip Reuter.
Pardon, your question is not understandable. अच्छा, just wait. Let me mark your attendance. मैं आपकी attendance की तस्वीर ले लूँ, कोई बोलेगा नहीं बीच में. Let me take it. Just wait. Okay, now please. Now you may ask your question.
Sir, who was Philip Reuter?
Yes, Phillips. Abhi actually yeah, whatever we are talking right now, please ask me about the same thing. इसके हवाले से पूछना ज़्यादा बेहतर रहेगा. We don't have much time, right? Ask me about the things which I have mentioned.
Sir, my question is that who was Philip Reuter?
Yeah, but actually this question is not relevant. Relevant पूछे ना यार. क्या इसका जिक्र मैंने किया आप लोगों के सामने?
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, please.
Sorry for meddling up. I don't want to ask anything, but I just want to summarize what I've got.
Yes.
As we all know that Chaucer was very well known in his period of lifetime. Now, in his
excuse me, not in his period of lifetime. He is still very well known. He is considered to be the father of English poetry.
He is.
Yeah.
He is well known because he was a stout man. As you have said that in his period of life, there was a dominant language was French, right?
Yes, French English. French was dominant, definitely.
Yeah, but he made the decision to write in English, not in French.
Yeah, Middle
is it?
Yes, he used.
Yeah,
he tried to legitimize Middle English in his poetry, right?
Yeah. I just wanted to assure that. Thank you.
Yeah. Remember, Chaucer was not. He's still, definitely famous. Why? Because he was the first. He was the first English poet, and that is why he is called to be the father of English poetry. And when he wrote definitely English poetry, that time English was in different shape. But the way he has mentioned things, for example, when we read his English poem, the Canterbury Tales, so we love, though the language is very hard, the language is very difficult to understand, almost extremely difficult to understand. तो हम जा रहे हैं उसके रियल टेक्स्ट को तो पढ़ेंगे भी नहीं इस लिहाज से, ठीक है, बट द वे ही हैज मेंशन थिंग्स इट इज वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग। इसीलिए कहा जाता है कि romantic language is very easy, romantic poetry's language is easy, but thoughts are very deep, whereas the language of such especially Chaucer, you will find language is very difficult, but thoughts are very simple to understand. What he's talking about, you can just read. When you read, you will find that he's talking about the era of his time. He's talking about their characteristics. इसमें बहुत से character आपको मिलेंगे ऐसे, when you read them so you will understand what the people of that particular time were like.
Sir, was he subjective poet or objective?
You'll find objective poetry over there. He's not talking about personal opinion. He is definitely here telling us. These people. He's telling us about.
He used
In
to talk about the nature and all.
Yeah, in his prologue to the Canterbury Tales, you'll find that he's defining them, who they are. Like, there are some very interesting characters, the wife of Bath and the partner, and he's telling us about the role of church, which used to the church, the kind of role that church used to play in Middle Ages. He's telling us about that. He's talking about the corruption and many other things through these tales.
Means he goes out of his feelings, right?
Yeah, he's not talking about his personal feelings like what we have in romantic poetry.
Yeah.
He's talking
Impersonal.
about, yeah, he's talking about definitely impersonal things.
Sir,
Thank you.
And the kind of poetry which we have of Chaucer, that is called narrative poetry.
Yeah, yeah.
In which you will find narrations of different, people, different characters. Okay, so we are going to meet after 5 minutes, all right? With the third
Sir.
class, and the third class is about, the age of Chaucer.
Sir, I want to ask the question, please.
Yes, please, quickly.
Sir, why he was poet? Even he was wealthy. So, is there any special purpose to join poetry, to write poetry?
No, actually, poetry doesn't need wealth or, if somebody is not wealthy, so he cannot become poet. It's up to the interest of a person. If you are interested, for example, John Milton was a well-to-do person and he became poet, and he did not write poetry for earning money, or he did not write poetry for any other purpose. On the other hand, if you see Shakespeare, so he was not even from a middle class; he was from a lower class, and he wrote plays and all such thing, and even wrote poetry. And that time, all the plays were written in the form of poetry. So he did it for commercial purposes. So actually, it's not necessary that if a person is well-to-do, so he should not write anything else. Writing is something that is related to a personal interest. आजकल के दौर में लोग शायरी कम और दूसरे जो लिटरेचर के जो फॉर्म्स उनको ज़्यादा इस्तेमाल कर होते हैं, नॉवेल का इस्तेमाल, शॉर्ट स्टोरी का, बट दैट टाइम दीज थिंग्स वर नॉट देयर वाज नो English was not a developed language that it could be used for writing prose and short stories, so they had to use